everyone, I'm Chelsea Walker here at IMDb with the one and only Jeff Probst.
What is up?
Give it up, guys.
I like this. I like the role reversal. You're asking me the questions
I know,
now.
this is so awesome. First of all, congrats on 20 years.
20 years and
Going
40
back,
seasons.
This is crazy. Going back to 2000, did you
Right.
ever think we'd be here for season 40?
No. I mean, I didn't think we'd be there for 3 seasons, really, because I do still remember pretty vividly being with Mark Burnett in Borneo, in the jungle, because he was kind of making the show up. And we'd take these long walks and we'd all be carrying tripods, and then he'd say, reward challenge, I think it should be, I don't know, what do you guys think? And we're all looking around going, we are creating this crazy weird show literally while we're walking through the jungle. Nobody ever dreamed anyone would even watch it, let alone like it.
Now, you bring up Mark Burnett. How did you convince him to give you this job? It wasn't easy
I still don't know. I met Mark. From what he says, I was the first person he met with. And we talked for almost 2 hours, of which he talked the entire time. It would be rats crawling over you. There's not going to be any studio, Jeff. And did this whole thing trying to scare me. And I felt, it was one of those moments where I saw the opportunity slipping away. And I do remember I had a picture and resume, and I dramatically ripped it up, and I said, this is not me. I'm not a studio guy. I'm a student of the human condition. I'm a writer. I've been in therapy. I get this show. And I thought he was gonna say like, wow, that was amazing. And he goes, hey, very nice to meet you. And I walked out and I was like, what, how did that happen? How am I know I'm right for this show. And it was, I think, 4 months later that I got a call.
And I think that's what resonated with me so much, because I remember hearing that story and you just said something like, I knew in my soul I was the guy for the job. And that's kind of how I felt as a survivor. Like when I was applying for the show, I just knew inside me, I didn't know what it was, but this is why I love this show so much.
And you are the personification of what it takes to get on Survivor, because I don't remember how many years it was. I mean, we've talked to you so many times. I would be at a function and see you, because you have this, you can't miss you. You have this bright, sparkly look and personality. And I go, oh my shit, there. And then I was at a restaurant one time and you coincidentally were there.
Yep.
And we kept thinking, she's gotta get in the mix. And then it was just the right timing. And then you turned out to be a really good player.
Right. Good player, maybe a little unfinished business.
This is what every player feels.
Right.
I will tell you from producing standpoint, the way you played, that is the type of person we want, and that's the type of person we invite back. It doesn't matter how long you last on Survivor if you're just coattailing it.
Right.
You gotta be willing to make big moves to try to get ahead.
That's right. And now I'm sure you have people coming up to you on the street all the time being like, Jeff, put me on the show. What has been the craziest thing a fan has done to try and get on?
No one's asked me this in a long time. I was flying to Salt Lake for some event, and there was a guy next to me on the plane the entire time. And we get to Salt Lake, and just as we're getting off of the plane, we've had the entire flight, he goes, listen, I have to confess something. I flew here just to talk to you, and I had a friend at the airline who put me in the seat next to you. And I'm walking off the plane going, wait a second, you were able to be seated next to me? That's creepy as all get out. And I said, you waited 3 hours and now you're talking to me as we're walking off? And he goes, I know, I was kind of nervous. I said, it's not gonna work well on Survivor. I don't think this is gonna be right for you. And I said, what are you gonna do? He goes, I'm on the next flight back home. So that was the weirdest thing. He literally had the idea to get there, got himself inside the situation, but couldn't close the deal. Couldn't say, hey, can I talk to you, dude? You're that guy on Survivor, right? You were the opposite. You were the one that said, I'm gonna knock on that damn door until if I have to kick it in.
Yeah, it worked out for me, which is great. One thing I wanted to talk about is you as a host. Obviously my experience, so grateful for it, wasn't necessarily what I wanted out of my own, but the one thing when people ask me, I'm like, Jeff and his crew, they are so good at their jobs. And for me, obviously going to tribal council, you don't want to be there, but it was so cool to sit in and just see you in action. And what a lot of people don't realize is you don't have an earpiece. You don't have someone telling you what to say, what to do. At tribal, you're so quick, there's never an awkward pause or a moment of silence. So for the fans out there, Can you give us some insight into how your brain works?
Well, thanks for that compliment. That was really nice. And the very first tribal of the first season, Mark said, hey, they have these things you can put in your ear and it allows me to talk to you. Should we get one? And I said, would you please not? Because you're going to be second guessing me the entire time. And he said, I got it. I'm going to trust you. And I know there were times early on when he was probably going, why are you asking that question? Or why aren't you asking this question? But what he showed me is that I believe in you, and he let me sort of find my way. And now what tribal is for me is, it's just a natural conversation. I just watch how people are behaving because you guys have so much at stake. You're worried about plan A or plan B, or do I trust that person? Is that person talking about me? I don't have anything at stake. So I have this really unfair, the power imbalance is gigantic because I'm going back either way. Somebody's going home tonight and I can watch you and go, what is up with Chelsea? Something is weird. They're not talking to her. She's got to be in trouble. Does she know it? And then I just start trying to figure out, how do I get to Chelsea through this person, that person? So a lot of times my questions are setups to question number 6, which is the one I want. The first 5 are just like a pinball machine trying to slowly meander over so it doesn't feel like the attention's on you.
I love it, and I get it, because sometimes, when I'm doing an interview, it's hard to listen because you're constantly thinking 2 or 3 questions ahead.
Yeah.
So that's why I was just like, he is good.
It makes a difference, though, that I've been doing it 20 years and that I can't do anything wrong because you guys don't know why I'm asking what I'm asking.
Right.
I could ask the worst questions in the world and go, I intended all of those.
All right, well, let's get into season 40.
Okay.
Winners at War. How did you finally get this to happen?
I will own the fact that I never thought it was going to happen. And if you're a Survivor fan, I've said many times, we'll never do an all-winner season because most of the winners don't want to do it again. They won, and they want to just keep that mantle and be done. And there was a guy at CBS, Kelly Call, who really wanted to do it, and he said, have you called him lately? And I went like, no, I can't believe you're right. I just assumed. And the first guy I called was Rob, Boston Rob, because we had just worked together in the previous season. And I said, I know it's unlikely, but if we did an all-winner season, I didn't even finish. And he said, let me talk to Amber. We're both gonna do it. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, we both are gonna do it. We need to do it. We met on this show. We fell in love on this show. We got engaged on this show. We have 4 children. They've never seen us play Survivor. And then I thought, wow, if we have Rob and Amber, so then I think we called Parvati. She said yes, and then Yul said yes, which was a big one, and Tyson said, and it just started happening. And it sounds really corny, especially if you're not a Survivor fan. But if you are a Survivor fan, it was a pretty cool day because I never thought it would happen. And I did start to feel, damn, man, we could do something really cool for 40. And that this is what we should do.
Mm-hmm. Was there anything else on the table had the winners not come out?
Yes, I was pitching a very different idea. Still an all-star type season, but it wasn't this. It wasn't nearly as good as this. This is, as Tony says in the premiere, the Super Bowl for Survivor, and it delivers. Chelsea, it's as good as Survivor has ever been. It really is fantastic.
I'm so pumped right now. Like, this season's gonna be amazing. Talk to me about the morning of the marooning. You have 20 winners, they show up in these boats, they step onto the beach. Right. What is going through your mind? Like, that must be a pretty surreal moment for you.
Well, it's funny, you're picking up on, maybe because you played all of like the key parts of it, and the marooning day for us is gigantic because it's all months of preparation for this new creative idea that we're now gonna turn over to 20 players. Because as you know, now it's in your hands. We can't stop anything. You can vote out whoever you want. You can do whatever you want. You can not participate. You can eat all your rice, not eat rice, sleep in the rain, not. So it's your show. And so when it starts, there is this energy. And what I noticed was as first the 10 men walked up and then the 10 women walked up and you had 20 people, and I saw my own sort of 20 years of life in front of me. And I had this moment of, man, this is super personal for me because going back to Amber, I was like, maturity-wise, I was a kid when she played, and I quickly looked across and realized every single person here has taught me something about how to be a better person or a better listener or take more chances, because Survivor is no joke. This is not a show where you're living in a house or you're, on a shiny, you're living in the damn jungle and trying to figure it out. So it was very exciting and very personal for me.
Now, if you were out there playing, who would be the first one you target? Who are you voting out?
Parvati, 100%. And I told her this the other day, and I could tell she was very offended by that, but I wouldn't trust Parvati. Who would?
I got to meet her, and she's so charming. And I've watched her since, you know, when I was a little kid, and I was always like, she's my idol out there. So I wouldn't want to play with her because I'd be like, yes, I'll do whatever you want because it's someone I've looked up to.
There you go. And
so
the
long.
other person is Rob. And in the premiere, there's this great scene where Ben says out of the gate, he says, man, listen, we have got to get rid of Rob. He does this thing. Like, what's that thing he does where you suddenly start confessing everything to him? And then you watch it play out and you're going, oh my God, he's doing it. He's doing it. He's like a godfather. He just says, Chelsea, I think it would be better for me if you told me the truth, because I'm not feeling so comfortable with you right now, but you can change that. And instead of saying, change that, why don't you change it? People go, okay, whatever you say, Rob.
That's so funny. So, you know, this season, you know, every year the gameplay evolves and things are happening quicker and quicker. Where does the game go from here?
I don't know. I will say this, that this season introduces currency, money, and the idea, the big picture idea being that any society at some point has money. You stop bartering with chickens and rice and you actually have something of value that we all agree on. That's the fire token. We're all going to agree this has a value. What you do with it is what's going to change the game. And the idea is that this is going to usher in a new era of Survivor, where in the future years, money will become a much bigger component of the game.
So the tokens are here to stay?
I think so.
But is Edge gone?
Edge will be gone for a while.
All right.
Yes. You know
I get it though.
But every player this year, I know there was controversy around Edge, which I totally accept. I like second chances and I like overcoming the odds, and there were some really cool things on the edge of extinction spiritually. But this season it was the players. Every person I called said, I'll do it, but tell me there's a second chance island, because I'm leaving my kids, I'm leaving my job, I've already won this game, I'm a lot older. And I didn't tell them that there was edge of extinction, but I said, I can promise you nobody will be first out and sent home. So they all kind of knew and they wanted it. For anybody who might complain from this season, they wanted this second chance island.
Now, season 50. Is Survivor gonna get there?
Are you already pitching to be back on 50?
No, I'm not one of those people. I just wanna know, are we gonna make it that far?
Well, it's 10 more seasons, it's 5 years. I think it's possible. It's easy to say. Like, we have people on our team like, oh, we'll get to 50. And I think, well, we got to get through 41 first. And that has always been how I've looked at everything creatively on Survivor. We have ideas for 44, but we have to execute 41 really well, just as well as we did 40. Because once you watch 40, now the bar is here. So I'm already thinking of the promo that's going to run at the end of 40 for something we haven't even shot yet, thinking it has to be so good and so different that you go, all right, I'll come back again. That's what it's like in television. You have to be able to, like on Survivor, persuade your audience one more time to say, I'll take another ride with you. And we've been doing it for 20 years, and my goal is that we can do it for another year, and then another year, and then another.
All right, well, I love that. I think we're gonna get to season 50. I think we're gonna surpass season 50.
Really?
You heard it here first.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much, Jeff, for joining me. You can watch Survivor Winners at War on Wednesdays at 8/7 Central on CBS and CBS All Access.
Look at you interviewing. That was great.